Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a terrific show planned for you today. Please don't forget to stay tuned to IntellectualRadio.com after the Drive at 5 for Warriors Talk with Rochelle at 6 p.m. with love and inspiration. She does this all the time, and I mean all the time. She spreads love and inspiration from Tuesday to Sunday throughout the week and bring it back on Monday. And she does it again and again and again. Rochelle, Warriors Talk, 6 p.m. after the Drive at 5. Tonight, my guest via Zoom is the founder of Evanston Present and Future and Evanston's Juneteenth Parade. Please give a Drive at 5. Welcome back to Kamor Hendricks. Welcome to the Drive. Well,
hi, Roman. It's Kamon.
Did I say Kamon or Kimono?
Kamor. Which I get that well, but Kamon.
Okay, gotcha. So please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station an update since the last time you was on the Drive.
Yeah, so my nonprofit called Evanston Present and Future is a education and scholarship 501c3, and we have 3 programs that is based on the foundation of that. We know this is hard work, so all of the efforts and programs that we are doing, we call, it's not a Band-Aid fixer, quote unquote. That's what I like to say. And so our programs are, the first one we conduct a Juneteenth parade in Evanston, which I'm also the founder of when it comes to Juneteenth. Also have a teen parent program, which is based on the foundation that, we all know there's a lot of things for the children of teen parents, but nothing that really focuses on the teen parents themselves and really make sure that, they are able to have a fulfilling life and able to complete their goals as a mother and as a teen. And, if the teen parent is not okay, the child is not okay either, no matter how many things you give the child, right? And the third is our reparations ambassador program, which is based on the foundation of, white and non-Black people really putting, their money where their mouth is and taking on the burden so it does not fall on the Black community alone when it comes to talking about reparations, spreading the news about reparations to businesses, organizations, their family, their neighbors, and also contributing to reparations at all levels, and just really putting in the work and also conducting themselves on anti-racism foundations and beliefs, and not continuing to cause harm to the Black community. And they know and believe that this is about more than just money. So that's it in a nutshell.
So please tell us a little bit about your organization, Evanston Present and Future.
Yeah, so I am the founder of Evanston Present and Future, and also the executive director. Like I said, so we have 3 programs that we run within the organization. Throughout the pandemic, when we did the Juneteenth parade, we of course had to make it a online parade, as well as also we activated different pop-up shops throughout the community, and also did a car parade as well. And we also have the teen parent program, and like I said, the reparations ambassador program. So that is what my organization does. Throughout the pandemic, we also provided PPE for our teen parents free of charge. We collaborated with a lot of Black businesses throughout our community to parents free of charge. We collaborated with a lot of Black businesses throughout our community to increase not just awareness, but activity at these stores throughout the pandemic during, what everyone was going through, a very economic, hard situation. So a lot of collaborations around that as well.
So explain to me about how your organization's reparation is different from Evanston's reparation. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So to be clear and exact, so the city of Evanston has a reparations program, which $10 million from the cannabis tax sales go into a fund that will then be dispersed to the Black community in the form of a forgivable loan that they can use for housing, whether it's to buy a new house or renovate a new house, or anything along those lines when it comes to home ownership. So right now it's looking like $25,000 to each eligible person. And that sums up to be about 16 people right now in Evanston to receive this housing loan of sorts to do what they need to do when it comes to whatever housing initiatives that they choose to. So my program is, when I started the program, the Reparations Ambassador program, it was a part of it was to raise additional funds for the city of Evanston's program, because we all know that $10 million is not enough. It's not even close to enough. So that was, my immediate mindset when it came to reparations, and seeing that this bill passed, everyone was, really excited about it. I think everyone in general just wanted to make sure that, it was moving along and that, everyone was doing their part. So for me, this was my part as a organization's founder and community activist within my community. And so that was just a part of it. Like I said, there's an additional training for the ambassadors, which is still in work. So nothing has completely rolled out yet, because the ambassadors are still going through what we call phase one of this whole thing. So it's, contribution, not donation, because we steer away from the word donate, because when it comes to reparations, this is something that is owed. It's not something that, it's not charity, right? So another part of my program is that the ambassadors will, continue this really deep introspection about how they contribute to racism in our community, and things that they need to address in their personal lives, and how they communicate with their family and other people within the community, so they are not continuing to cause harm and not just throwing money at a problem and going around perpetuating racism still to this day, because that's what we see, right? A lot of white people think that they can just throw money at a problem and that's it. And that's not it. So that was the initial intent of my program. So upon a lot of different meetings, a lot of different public events throughout the city of Evanston, as their reparations program advanced, it became apparent to me that it was no longer something that I can support and still feel okay with myself, because I think as a community, we all wanted this reparations program that the city of Evanston started to be successful. But as things played out, there was a lot of things that was wrong. There was a lot of things in the
let me stop you there, because you mentioned several key things. Number one, you mentioned the criteria. If I'm assuming, given what news reports were saying in Evanston, if you're a resident of Evanston, you automatically qualify for it. But you're saying you have to be qualified in quotation marks. Can you elaborate on that first?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that is untrue. That is what they're perpetuating out to the media, that if you are a resident in Evanston, that you qualify, a Black resident, that you get reparations. That is not true. So you have to prove some sort of housing discrimination between a certain time period in Evanston. I believe started 1619 And then if you don't have a Black descendant, if you're not a legacy Evanstonian who, like your grandparents lived or had housing that time, then you would have to hire a lawyer of sorts to prove current discrimination if you were trying to qualify for reparations now, today, or any time out of that time period. So I hope you're following me here. So you have to prove that you were discriminated against when it comes to housing.
What kind of Soul Train bull crap is that? I mean, how can somebody how can somebody prove way back when that they experience is kind of like a marketing ploy to my understanding. So why call it reparation, period? I mean, I just don't get it, because one thing what recently happened is an Evanston official was on the media on a television station talking about it, but it's not saying the exact thing that you're saying. So
Right.
Can you clarify? Because I'm seeing I mean, there's something is wrong with this.
Yeah, something is deeply wrong. So let me try. So I don't really know why the reparations subcommittee, because the subcommittee, as you say, is Alderman Robin Ruth Simmons, who's probably the face that you see when you see the news or read an article when it comes to Evanston reparations subcommittee. And there's a few other aldermen on there. I don't know the reason why they're not being honest. I don't know the true reason why they're not being honest about the program and why they're so intent on calling it reparations. So I'm not even going to get into that. But what I do know is that the people in the city of Evanston are extremely upset. So much. There's a new group formed, and it's called Evanston Rejects Racist Reparations. And they have been in the news for the past couple of days because they are calling for the city of Evanston to change the name of their program, because it's a nice housing program, right? If you qualify, great. If you're a person that even wants a house in Evanston, this is going to be great for you, but it's not reparations. So they're calling for the city of Evanston to do one of two things: change the name to some sort of social equity housing program, or don't vote on it, because it's supposed to be voted on tonight. And as far as I know, the vote is not on the referendum, on their ticket to vote on tonight. So they are delaying it. So how can
you count? And I'm sorry to interrupt. How can someone call for an investigation on this? Because true enough that people have given money to the cause, and what they have pushed out in the media is not what you are describing. So how can someone say, well, this needs to be looked into?
Well, that's what the group is doing right now, and that's what majority of Evanston is rallying right now, is for there to be a I think that's the goal of this, for there to be an investigation. That's actually a really good question. I don't know. Like, do you hire someone?
Call Kwame. I mean, the state's attorney, Kwame. Raoul, thank you. Kwame Raoul's office, and have him to look into that, because it's some type of Soul Train bullcrap going on there, because it's messing with a lot of people in a lot of heads. So, and I'm sorry to jump track.
No, you're fine.
But there's a lot of things that's going on with reparation. But I just want to know, in your own words, define reparation for us, because it seems some people are confused about seeking reparation, and it's not just money. So just give us your definition of it.
So my definition of reparations is in the term repair within itself. It's repairing harm that was done to a group of people. And, that harm is open. The box is wide open when it comes to the word harm, right? It's repairing harm that was done to a group of people, and it's a moral obligation, right? So when you put those things together, it is, a moral obligation. It's you admitting, I did this to you, and this was the cause of this, which when it comes to racial, race and what's going on with Black people, it's this huge wealth gap, right? That the United States has caused when it comes to slavery, Jim Crow. It's this huge wealth gap upon many other things, right? That this harm has caused. So it's the admitting of this and then the repairing of it, right? So if you don't repair the harm that was done, which is in this case, a lot of times it's the wealth gap, but then also how do you can't, it can't continue. So when you repair it, it doesn't end up money, right? Because just putting the money there, it could happen again if the root cause of it all is not also repaired, which is, racism as well, and the centering of whiteness in everything that the United States stands for. So that's mine in a
So
nutshell.
in let's say your organization, how would you repair? You're trying to repair some of the wounds, and it seems like you're doing a lot of fighting here and there. What's going on in Evanston? So what is your definition of repairing those wounds?
So the first thing that I saw was the injured community at the time, as defined by the city of Evanston when it came to housing, did not want a housing stipend. They wanted a direct cash payment as the bare minimum. So what I did, I started the initial process of how that could even happen, because when it comes to the city of Evanston, they're saying that can't happen, that they can't do a direct cash payment, which that's a complete lie. I have heard from several financial gurus, etc. Like there's ways around that. So my reparations ambassadors, in a sense, is following and listening to the injured community, the Black community in Evanston. That's what they're here to do, right? As true allies, not listening to some status quo that says that, oh, this is not true, and speaking for the Black community, right? So I think that finding a way to implement a direct cash payment to all Evanston Black community members, because there's a lot of hitting deep underground, extreme racist bias BS going on in Evanston. I believe that every single Black person in the United States, but if we're talking about local reparations, which that's what the debate is right now, I believe that every single Black person in Evanston deserves some type of repair. So I believe a direct cash payment, along with something like a reparations ambassador, which are white and non-Black people doing all of this work and knowing how to do it without overstepping their boundaries and the true foundation of anti-racism, so that this Band-Aid doesn't keep getting ripped off and the sore just keeps getting exposed. I think that's a good step towards fostering real repair within a small community like Evanston.
What about the land part? There's a lot of vacant lots in Evanston. Why not just, because reparation is not just for money, it's also land or property as well. Why not seek even an idea for your organization to get those vacant lots, because it's a lot of vacant lots in Evanston, to give residents an opportunity to not not purchase it, but to be given if they're interested to grow fruits and vegetables, or even build an economic house for extra income or something like that.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because I recently had a conversation with this group, this housing group in Evanston, that they build some type of like additional it's like a extra house on top of a land, like for and it's supposed to be some form of housing for people who can't afford to buy or whatever it is. So they so let's say you own a house in Evanston and you agree for them to build a smaller house in your backyard, and then you would rent it out to someone else that would live there, right? So they do that, but they also purchase land and in Evanston and build these more sustainable, equitable housing. I don't know if I'm using the right term for it, but it's kind of like a smart house in a sense. I think you've kind of like heard about it before. And I had a conversation with it. I'm like, like I think this is a really good opportunity to because a lot of these initiatives, they do it based off grants. And I was like, I think this is a really good opportunity. And I was speaking to them in regards to my reparations program. And I was like, I think this is a good opportunity for, if we do partner in a sense, for us to, not just offer these small little add-on houses. Why don't we buy the land and give it to qualified people instead of these $25,000 loans and all of this, And I mean, that conversation didn't really go anywhere. I'm going to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many solid ways to go about this that they cannot continue to sell this lie anymore that this is reparations. Like, people are not stupid. You cannot, there's just so many different ways, solid and great ideas to go about this.
Why community leaders mention reparation or want to seek reparation from companies and they don't know what the terminology of reparation means? What is your take on that? Because you have leaders that's out there that say we want reparation, we want it now, and go to the companies, even protest in front of companies, and they want to see reparation. But when asked, okay, what is the goal? What is your reparation? Why you think that this is the reparation you want from this company? And then they don't know the terminology and what reparation really means. What is your take on that?
So are you asking why doesn't the community activist know what reparations is, or the company that they're asking it from?
No, I'm asking for the community leaders that's protesting. They don't know what the terminology of reparation and a goal is. Not for the corporations to know. They probably already know what they did in the past. It's to the community leader, because the community leaders are going to them and seeking reparation, but they don't know what it means.
Yeah, that's a problem, right? That's a problem. And I think that goes back to the whole education piece on this all, right? And that is, one of the main focus of my organization when it comes to anything. Like, there's just so much education behind a lot of these movements that need to be done and executed in the proper way, that I do think sometimes people get lost in just, the terminology of it all, or the illusion of, the media frenzy around it, that one would kind of just go out there and it's not wrong of them to say, I want reparations, or reparations is, but you do need to, be educated on the topic, right?
Should there be a universal model for holding a company accountable for reparation? A universal model for every person to follow that is seeking reparation, to say, here's the playbook. This is what we all need to do, instead of you're doing your own thing, that person doing their own thing, and everything is discombobulated. Your thoughts?
I think a universal model would be great. And I think that there's no universal model when it comes to going to corporations, but I do think there's a few solid plans for reparations that are currently out here right now. And I think those are great. But I think that when it comes to going to a corporation and laying it flat out there for them, right? It's like, this is what your corporation lies into. This is what you owe, and how to calculate all of those things when it comes to the harm that was done by certain corporations, I think would be very, very beneficial to everyone, to the point where, like, if one was to want to get into a debate about it, it's not even debatable. So that's actually a great idea.
How can a person who is working for a major corporation, they do their history and they see that their company was involved in some type of slavery or slave trade or something, how can a person, without losing their job, call out a company or a corporation?
I think, partnering and finding organizations like mine and others that are already kind of like not scared to put their face out there when talking about this, right? Finding that, because that's actually a current issue right now. I'm going to switch a little bit, but so when the recent group Evanston Rejects Our Racist Reparations, some of the members are, of course, wanting to remain unnamed for the moment because they work in certain places in Evanston, right? And this is like a huge thing. And let me tell you, there's a lot of shadiness going on behind the scenes. So yeah, you do need to respect people's privacy and, not, continue to put people in harm when it's a topic like this. So I think a good way is to reach out to organizations that are already doing this work so that they can kind of, help bring it to light in a way that you're still protected.
How can an organization like yours hold a corporation accountable?
Well, I think simply, like you said, doing that work, getting the research done when it comes to the history of the corporation, right? So once you have that, solid foundation, that's when you go and you sit down with the CEO and, make a case for it and base it on the standards of the reparations ambassadors and them getting out there and doing that work as well when it comes to reaching out to these corporations, finding the information, utilizing their own tools, and what did they call it? I don't want to say like their own white privilege, if I should say, using their own white privilege to help make this case and execute it.
Last week, it was underreported that the father, Michael Brown's father, and Ferguson activists filed a $20 million lawsuit against Black Lives Matter for using them as a fundraising tool. However, Black Lives Matter never used the money like they say the money would go to. Even though your organization is not affiliated with Black Lives Matter, your organization is seeking reparation in some type of form. It does deal with compensation. Will that be a doubt about where the money will go to and to whom? Your thoughts, because this is a major issue. And we're also looking at the George Floyd case, which Black Lives Matter is currently protesting in front of the courthouse in George Floyd case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's the thing. When it comes to philanthropy and a lot of things that are done in community organizing. I think that, wait, first let me say I'm not going to, say that this is true or not when it comes to that case. But what I will say is that if you are someone or a company or whatever it might be that is doing shady business and not executing on what you say you're going to execute on, this is the end result of that, right? Like, it's going to be brought to the light. And I think that's what we're seeing here on a couple different cases, right? Whatever is done in the dark is going to be brought to the light. And, it's just a completely unfortunate situation, or something to even think about after such a tragic experience, and feeling like you've been taken advantage of at your weakest point is just devastating within itself. So as wise as the work that I'm doing, I definitely, when it comes to any collection of funds that may be happening, or disbursement or anything of that sort, it has to be in a very transparent way, right? Especially when you're speaking, when it's about money and when it's about reparations, right? You have to be as transparent and open, and so people can see everything that's in the fund or whatever it may be. So that's what we're going for when we're doing this, right? A open, transparent visibleness of the funds, how it's going, where it's going, like all those documentations need to be in place, especially when you are a Black woman in philanthropy, especially because there has been and is and there's a lot of, I think, different, white-led organizations, white businesses who want to, I say, and I read an article about this recently, who want to bench Black women in philanthropy when we're really the ones that should be leading it. We're the ones that have the innovation, the great ideas, how to execute things in that sense. And I think not even just Black women, but Black people in general, when it comes to philanthropy and social justice issues, we're being looked at with a magnifying glass with anything we do. Although if you look back in history and all these financial books, white people are the main perpetrators when it comes to, doing all types of financial BS behind the scenes. So I'm saying that to say that, yes, anything that I do in that regard, I know will have to be fully documented and transparent, because unfortunately we live in the United States.
To be continued, please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station where they can get a hold of you, in contact with you, and if they want to seek reparation in their own community or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Please go to my website, which is www.KimonHendricks.com. That's KemonHendricks.com. Or you can send me an email at evanstonpresentandfuture@gmail.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much. To be continued. Thank you so much for the wonderful and the education on reparation. Thank you so much. When we come back on the drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station, an organization that is making a difference during the pandemic and all around. We'll be back after this.
It wasn't easy. I made mistakes.